Okay, so in this lesson what we're going to be doing is taking an Autocad file, a floor plan, and bringing it into Photoshop and converting it from a file that looks like this here. You can see we have all the cross hatching for the flooring and the walls and all this and that. We can zoom up to it. This is, typical of a standard Autocad plan with some cross hatches in here, which is okay for most applications, but if we want it to be more presentable, something like this is what we're going to be creating, where we actually will add in realistic looking flooring. We'll zoom up to this a little bit here so we can kind of see. We're going to add in some flooring, some planting, the titles, shadows, all of that sort of stuff. So first step is to go into AutoCAD and take off all of the cross hatching. You can either erase it or freeze the layers, whatever you want to do. I've already frozen a lot of this stuff, but you can also erase it. So if I zoom up to this, you can kind of see we have some cross hatches in here. Oops, that one, we don't want to erase that, I guess. So here we'll have to explode this and put back in the correct layer here. So in this case here, I'm going to just use a rectangle, and I'm going to trace over that, and it's a 3-flue chimney, so we'll go ahead and put in some lines like this, some rectangles, and then we'll go ahead and erase that original one so we have our flue back. Okay. The other thing that we want to do with this floor plan is look at our doors, look at our windows, and we also want to look at our appliances and fixtures and things like that, make sure everything's in there that we need. You want to clean up as much information in AutoCAD as you can, so as we look at this here, we can see we have these double lines in there. I'm not sure why. I'm going to get rid of those and look at this garage door up here. I'll get rid of that as well. I don't want that exterior one, and I don't necessarily want a lot of this stuff, so I'll explode this. It looks like it's a block. Don't necessarily need those trim boards on the outside, so I can erase those as well. And I don't need all this interior stuff. I just want the outline of the garage door. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup here and get that all cleaned up like that. And just kind of zoom around this drawing, kind of looking at the different aspects of it, for the sink and the toilets and showers and things like that. Even this that has this mesh on here, I wouldn't worry about that too much at this point, because we're going to be inserting symbols for these in here as well. So we don't want things like furniture and beds and things like that, so I'm going to erase that bed there. And look at the stairs here. We have a little bit of some issues going on with our stairs. We get these extraneous blue lines in here which don't really need. I just basically want the outline for the stairs. Don't need the word up in there. Any text that you have in here, we want to get rid of that as well. We want to get rid of this door is underneath these stairs, so let's see. I guess I'm going to take that door out for right now and clean this up. Now, right now the color is kind of bothering my eyes a little bit, so I'm going to basically convert this over to black. Everything I want to be black, because when we bring this up in Photoshop, everything's going to be black line work. So the easiest way to do this is to just basically come into our layers and basically select all of the layers like this, pick one of the colors and change them all to black. Okay, so that changes everything to black. I also want all of my line weights to be at 0. Okay, so everything's black, everything's line weight of 0, and we'll get out of here and kind of look at the drawing now like this. Okay, so now at this point I'm going to clean up some other stuff in here. I don't want some of these extraneous lines in here or fixtures or things like this. I'm not sure what that is, some kind of a cabinet or something. Get rid of that as well. Okay, this is a washer and a dryer, half bath, small linen closet here. Got an extra line in there. This is a breakfast nook here, so this would be the table and the seats. So we have our kitchen here with our refrigerator, kitchen cabinets, our sink, our stoves in the island. Okay, we have over here we have a sunken living room here, so I can go in here and clean this up, and I'll erase this as well. Okay, so let's get rid of that and get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, so basically you come down here and step onto this landing, come down a couple steps into this sunken living room. Over here our steps are kind of messed up here, so I'm gonna just erase all this stuff because there's kind of a mess going on here, and this is part of the cleanup process. So I'll erase a lot of this extraneous stuff in here like that. I'm going to just use a fillet command and fillet these back so that they're back to a square. And I'm going to erase all this garbage here in the middle. And it's kind of hard to see what's going on there, so let's erase this stuff here, and I'll erase that. Looks like this was drawn in some other kind of CAD package. It could have been in Revit, it could have been in AutoCAD using AutoCAD architecture or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to just close that off. I've got some lines going astray here, so let's offset this, whatever the distance is here. Okay, and then I'll connect that up with a nice line like this. And we'll trim that off here. Okay, so this is where our stairs are going to go. So I'm going to draw in a line here for my first step, and draw a line in here for another step like this, and then I'll offset these probably 12 inches. Let's see what that does. So we'll put these in here like this, putting these in, and this will just give us something in Photoshop to kind of go by. So we'll put these in as well like this. Okay, so obviously we have a set of stairs going down here. We have a door here, and so I'm gonna copy this door symbol right here, put this door over here, and rotate it. Okay, we'll rotate that up 90 degrees, turn on ortho. Yeah, it's a little bit small. What size do we have for a door here? So our distance from here to here is 3 feet, so that should be a 3-foot door. So we'll just scale this door just a little bit. So I'm going to pick my base point here, R for reference, pick from here to here, and then just stretch it out a little bit like that. So that will give us our door going down the steps. Okay, now Well, we have something over here going on. Okay, so here we'll do that. There's obviously another landing here, so you come down here, and this is a porch, a screened-in porch that actually is not at a different, it's a different level as well. So it looks like there would be a platform here, like a deck or a landing here at the same level as this, and then this steps down into this porch out here. The other thing that you want to do is draw in any room separation lines that you may need. So if you look here at Photoshop and we look at the plan itself down here like this, okay, we have one flooring that goes throughout all of this area in here. We have flooring for the bedroom and the walk-in closet, the bathroom, the living room, the seasonal porch. If for some reason or other you wanted, say, different flooring in the dining room and in the kitchen and in the hallway, you'd put in some room separation lines. You could do this obviously in Photoshop later, but it's much easier to add lines and such in AutoCAD as you're going along. But you know, if I wanted a room separation here, for instance, for this bathroom, like for instance when we fill this area up with flooring, okay, in Photoshop, Photoshop will stop at every boundary. So it's going to stop at the edge of the toilet, the edge of the shower, at the edge of the door, but there's an opening here, so it will flood this in. But when it comes down here and it sees this arc on the door, it's going to stop right here. And if I go out here to fill this in, it's going to fill in all this area. So I would probably want to just put in a line in here going across here like this as a room separation, okay? So that way I have something to kind of go by later. Once you're done cleaning this all up, the next step is to export this to Photoshop as a image. There's a few different ways to save an AutoCAD drawing as an image. We could do a screen capture. You know, we could just capture the screen. That really wouldn't really give us the result that we're looking for. Everything would be pixelated because it's based on the screen resolution. The other way is to actually, you know, use the print or plot command and choose from within here publish to web as a JPEG or publish to web as a PNG, and these will work. The easiest method though is to actually convert your drawing to a PDF file. Now there is also up here under export, you can export your drawing as a PDF file right here. Problem with doing it this way is it doesn't always reliably create the result that we want. The better method is to actually use the plot command, and let's go through that together. So I'm going to go into plot, I'm going to drop this down and say drawing to PDF, and basically the first thing I'm going to do is set the size that I want this to be. So I want this to be a large image, so I'm going to use an Arch E size, which is 36 by 48. Okay, and you can see here it's taller than it is wide, so this works pretty well. So 36 by 48 is basically what I want, and what I want to plot is going to be the window. So I'm going to click on window, and I'll come in here and make a window around this thing, including everything like that. I want to make sure it says fit to paper, and I want to make sure, even though this is black and white right now, I want to make sure that this is set for monochrome. Okay, and also I'm going to go in to edit my pen styles and select the first color, color 1, and come down here and select color 255 by holding down shift. So I select everything in this whole list and make sure that everything's set to black, and make sure that the line weight is set to 0. Okay, that gives us our finest line that we can produce. So I'll save that and close that. The last thing over here is under quality. I'm going to set that to maximum. And I'm going to do portrait. Okay, so that way it's, because notice that landscape, how it cut it off this way. So portrait like this. And I'll hit OK. It will ask me where I'm going to put it. I've done a few experiments here so you can see here. So I'm going to just change the name of this. And we'll just call this room for two Photoshop. Okay, call it whatever you want. It really doesn't matter as long as you know what you've saved. So we'll come in here into Photoshop. Let me close out some of my experimentation that I was doing here. And we're back to our original here. So we're going to take our line drawing and create this. So I'm going to say File, Open. And we're going to come in here, Room for Two, Photoshop, and hit Open. Now when this first comes up, you're going to see this dialog box. You can import any PDF that you want into Photoshop. If you had multiple pages, you'd see them all listed here, and you can pick what page that you want, and so on and so forth. And in here, basically everything's pretty much, you can leave it alone. It shows you what the size is. It's going to be a fairly large file to begin with. Okay, 426 megabytes, pretty big. The nice thing about this is once we have it in, we can always shrink it down if we want, but we're going to work with this large size right now. So I'll go ahead and keep the resolution at 300 and hit OK. So this will bring this in, and it'll look as if you don't have anything on your screen, and we have this transparent background. If we zoom up to this, it's really hard to see anything. I can't see anything at all, okay? But in fact, there are lines there. They're just really very difficult to see because they come in as kind of gray lines. So one thing that I like to do is throw on a white background here. So on this button down here in our layers, we're going to come down here to solid color, make sure it's set to white, and I'll move layer 1 above it like this. And now we can see a fairly faint outline of everything that we're looking at. For some reason or other, I'm not sure why, but the PDF file with these really fine lines will create something that looks like this, that looks kind of gray. I want them to be pure black. So what I need to do is go into our special effects here for Photoshop, add a layer style. And we're going to hit stroke, and it's going to add a stroke to all of these lines. Now, at this point, stroke by default will put on a size of 3 pixels. I don't want 3 pixels. I want it to be 1 pixel. Okay. And I also don't want the position of that to be outside. I want it to be centered. Okay. Like that. All right. And I'm going to just cancel this for a second, and we're going to zoom up really even closer to this so that you can kind of see what's going on here. So if we go back into this again and do stroke, okay, so you can see when it strokes these lines, it actually will put on this kind of a gray kind of, this is the anti-aliasing that Photoshop puts on here to make things look smooth. When I bring this down to 1 pixel, you can see what happens here. And if I change this to center, it gets rid of those altogether, so you can kind of see that. All right. So this is basically what we want, and I'll hit OK, and we'll zoom back out, and now we have our floor plan. Okay, it looks like this. Now everything's so fine that it just kind of looks strange when you have lines that are close to each other like this. So when we zoom back, they appear as if they're black. So don't be too concerned about that at this point. The other thing that I want to do is you can see here, because this is an educational AutoCAD Autodesk product, I'm going to get rid of those as well. I don't want those on there for this particular thing. it's very easy to remove those by just basically coming in here with a paintbrush and zooming up to this. Whoops, undo that. Let's zoom up. Okay, so on layer 1 here, we can just use the eraser, okay, on this, and just come in here and erase this stuff. I'm going to change my brush to a hard brush, and I'm just going to click like this and click like that and erase those. So I'll do that again up here. I'll show you. You basically click here, hold shift, click here, and that'll erase that whole entire thing. Or, you know, you can brush it out if you want, just by going like this and just brushing it out. Holding down shift just basically erases in a straight line. That's all it does. So click and then shift, click, and it'll erase all that. Alright, so now we're ready to get started on this plan. Okay.